Let me ask you this. What if, instead of trying to time the market, you positioned yourself to benefit from every transaction happening inside of it? Not just buying and hoping, but participating in the activity itself. Because that's where real leverage begins. In crypto, most people focus on price. But behind every price movement, there's something much more powerful happening. Volume, transactions, constant activity flowing through the system. And what if you could position yourself to benefit from that flow day in and day out? With Iron Vault Token, we've built a model around exactly that. Every transaction that happens with the token carries a 6% transaction fee. And that fee is split into two parts. 3% is directed to the company, used for growth, expansion, marketing, and building the ecosystem. The other 3% is allocated to royalty positions. Now, this is where it gets interesting. That 3% is divided across a fixed number of positions, 5,000 1% royalty positions and 2,000 2% royalty position. And that's it. No more can ever be created, no dilution, no expansion. Once these positions are gone, they're gone permanently. Let me put this into perspective for you. At 25 million per day, which is tiny in crypto, a 1% position will be making $50 per day, which is just over $18,000 per year. And a 2% position would be making $250 a day, which is just over $91,000 per year, which replaces most people's salary. Those numbers alone make it worth the investment required. But let me give you one more example. At 100 million per day, which is not a lot in the world of crypto, a 1% position will be making $200 per day, which is just over $73,000 per year. And a 2% position would be making $1,000 per day, which is just over $365,000 per year. Now, for our 2% partners, what is really exciting is at 280 million plus, they're making over $1 million a year passively, something most folks can't even imagine making. The best part of all this is that you have to give us up to 3 beneficiaries that will inherit this after you're gone one day. So this doesn't just pay you throughout your lifetime, it also pays generations beneath you and leaves a huge financial legacy behind for your loved ones. And here's what most people don't fully grasp. We're actively speaking with larger capital groups, investors who understand the value of positioning early. At any moment, these positions could be absorbed quickly, which means the window to participate at this stage isn't something that stays open, because once the ecosystem is fully funded, the dynamic changes. Now let's talk about scale. As visibility increases, as more participants enter, as trading actively grows, transaction volume becomes the key driver. In active markets, it's not uncommon to see daily transaction volumes reach into the tens of millions, even hundreds of millions, and sometimes billions. And in stronger cycles, that activity can expand significantly beyond that. And because the royalty structure is tied directly to transactions, that's where the model begins to show its potential. Think about it like this. The more activity moving through the ecosystem, the more that 3% pool is being distributed. And because the number of positions is fixed, each position represents a defined share of that flow. It's not about predicting a single outcome. It's about understanding how scale and participation can amplify what those positions represent over time. Now, here's where it expands even further. Any position secured with the Iron Vault token also carries forward into the next phase of the ecosystem, which includes participation in our future stablecoin layer. And stablecoins operate differently. They're designed for consistent high volume usage. In the broader market, stablecoins are often used for daily transactions, liquidity movement, and trading pairs, which is why they tend to see significant ongoing activity. And when you apply a similar royalty structure to a system designed for that level of usage, you start to understand the scale of what's being built. Most stablecoins do not do any less than 1 billion per day in trading volume. Now, it might take a few years to get to that point, or it could be way sooner. But at 1 billion in trading volume from the stablecoin per day, a 1% partner would be making 2,000 per day, which is 730,000 per year, and a 2% partner would be making $10,000 per day, which is over 3.5 million per year. Insane. So this isn't just about a token. It's about positioning yourself inside a system where activity itself becomes the opportunity. And with a fixed number of royalty positions and increasing interest, the real question becomes, do you secure your position now or risk watching from the outside once they're gone? Thank you and have a great day.